Hi Kavita. Good evening. Hi Neeraj.
Yeah, hi Ritesh.
Okay, let's get started then. So anyone knows how do you define Airtable, or how is it different from Google Sheets?
It's kinda like a workspace, possibly an alternative to Notion. I'm assuming it.
Mm, anyone else?
I think Airtable is a database basically where we store things, and it can be an alternative to Excel.
Okay. Um, so yes, Airtable is a database. Okay, and Google Sheets is a database. So Google Sheet is a spreadsheet, and Airtable is a database. So can anyone tell what is the difference between spreadsheet and database?
A lot of spreadsheets make a database. I have to
Not really.
again go to
Okay.
my
No worries.
computer books.
No worries. Anyone else?
Like we can say na कि a database could be a spreadsheet, but no, this is also similar
This
one
is also
actually.
some.
Okay, let let me show you what is the difference. Okay,
Sure.
I'm sharing my screen. I hope I share the right
By
screen.
the way, guys, if possible, please turn on your cameras.
Yes, it will be more interactive. Turn on your cameras, and whenever I ask anything, you can speak out or say hi, got it,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Right? Cool. So I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes, it's visible.
Where's my Google Sheets? Yep, here it is. So Google Sheets or a spreadsheet is cells, okay, columns and rows. Here, even though we set that, okay, this is a date field, okay, so I'll go here and say, I can set it from here itself. I'll go here, I'll say this is a date field,
Yeah.
okay. Even then, I can put text here, I can put numbers here, right?
Doesn't it show an error? Like it shows in mine when I set it as a date.
Only if you are putting a conditional formatting there,
Yeah,
right?
I do put
Data
conditional format.
validation,
Yeah.
right? So you can do that, okay. But in a spreadsheet, basically you can refer to any cell from anywhere. Okay, what I mean by that is, let's say for example I'm talking about, I'll go to one more this thing, I'll say num1 and I'll say num2. Okay, and if I put a sum here, I'll put some random numbers here, this will be sum of this plus this. Okay, now of course if I put something like this and I get the same formula here, then I'll get the sum of these two numbers. Okay, but as a spreadsheet, I can refer to any cells from any of the rows. Okay, I can also tell this is equals to this plus this.
Right.
Okay, each record is not individually stored in the, what I say, spreadsheet. Okay, you can refer to any other records, and it will actually help in analytics and stuff like that. But when we talk about database, okay, each record is individual, it cannot reference to other records in the database. Okay, if you're doing a sum operation, then you are doing it within that particular record itself. Okay.
Right.
Let's check the same on this thing, Airtable. I've just created some dummy before we get started into creating the financial tracker. So if this I've mentioned as a text field, okay, which means it will just take any random text. Okay, and once I hit on enter, it will go to the next row, because I've mentioned it as just single text, that is single line text. Okay, if I go here, you can see it is single line text. Whereas multi-line text, if I go here, sorry, here, okay, I can add anything, and then if I hit enter, it will go to the next line. So basically, you can define what each of the column refers to. Okay, this could be a title of anything, your blog post, your YouTube video, or anything. Okay, this could be the description of that. Okay, if you're making a task management tool, then this will be your title, this will be your description, and so on and so forth. Got it?
Yep.
Clear, right?
Guys, anyone has
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, 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 we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Now let's get started with how to create tables on Airtable. Okay, just like how we would do it in Google Sheets. So let me go back to the Google Sheets. Where Right, so we are creating something like this. Okay, we will have title of the transaction, created date, when did we add this, is it a credit, debit? If we have multiple accounts, we will link it with a drop down. We will add amount. We can add some long description. Of course, attachment is not possible on Google Sheets. You can take a screenshot and add it as an image, or upload it to Drive and then put it here, right? And once you're done with this, you can also create, this is some backend this thing I've done here to get the data for the dashboard. Okay, so we have some, what to say, personal balance here and business balance, and the transaction that has happened, like how much credits and how much debits that has happened so far in both the accounts. Okay, we will create a similar thing on Airtable, and let's see how easy it is, and why do we use Airtable than Google Sheets for such use cases. Okay, so I have yeah, I have a fresh Airtable account. Okay, just like Chelsea has now, I believe. So
Yeah, yeah,
once you
yeah.
create the workspace, okay, let's create a base. Base is nothing but in what is it, Google Sheets, this thing, it's one Google file, okay, where you can have multiple tabs, okay, with different tables. Okay, clear? Base is one file which can have multiple tables which can be referenced to each other. I'll show you by creating two tables. Add an extension not required. Okay, so let's go to our Google Sheets to reference and see what all do we need. Title. Okay, so title is a single line text, so we will change this to title. Okay, and this has single line text, we will save it. Then we need created date, which is, see, there are two things. One is when did you add it, and one more is when did the transaction happen, right? So you can have two things. One is created date, that is when did you create this particular record. Okay, you have something called time, which is created time. When you add this, okay, you can have you have options to set this, like how should the date be, and so on and so forth. You can include time, not include time, use the same time zone, and so on and so forth. Okay, I would remove the time for now and save it. So when you create any table, a table by default adds three records. Okay, and as you can see, three records, and it says all the three were created today because we created the table itself today. Okay, let's give a name to the base. Financial. You can give some colors. You can, come on, what is this? Okay, these colors are available in the free plan. This is fine, and you can also add some icons if you need. Okay, created it. Now let me add one more column, which is transaction date. When did the transaction happen? This is a date field. Local include time now. So why do we need transaction date? Because we might add, what to say, the transaction on a different date. We are not we are not so sincere that we add it as soon as we transact, right? Okay, assignee is not required, so I'll delete this one. Status is not required, so let me delete this one. So we have transaction type. Okay, it could be a credit or debit. So I'll go here and say transaction type, and this is a single select field. Okay, what the single select field means? It means you can select one of the options. This is like a drop down in your Google Sheets. Okay, so I'll say credit, and I'll say this is debit, and you can also color code it. So credit is good, so green, debit is not so good. So let me make it as red. Okay, so we have got transaction type, then we have accounts. So now here I've added it as a option in the data validation itself. Okay, so if I go here, I've told D column is two options. Okay, here in Airtable, what I'll do is I'll create one more table. Okay, so that I can show you two things. One is how we can calculate the balance of each account, and second, how do we interlink these two tables. Okay, one more important difference between a spreadsheet and a database is you can interlink where when it is a database. Okay, whereas in spreadsheet it is not possible. For example, here we have the, what is it, bank account. You can only link one particular column of it here. Okay, you can do a, what I say, equals to sign and then use it, or you can use it as a drop down like this, having data kept somewhere in the cells instead of directly in the data tab. Okay, but you cannot link the entire table. I'll show you that. Is it clear, or
Yeah, yeah.
am I going too fast?
No, no, no.
No, right? Okay, so transaction type, let's add one more table. Okay, I'll mention it as bank accounts. Okay, so name, let me put it as ICICI personal, and then okay, yes, notes I don't need, assignee I don't need, status I don't need. Okay, let me start with something like starting balance. And this is a currency field, you can mention it, and you can give the symbol of INR. Okay, negative numbers we don't need. Okay, and you can leave it like this, starting balance. Okay, now I'll go to table one, back. I'll just rename this as transactions, and I'll say linked bank. Now here I can link it to another record. Okay, which is bank accounts.
Right.
Allow linking to multiple records? No, one transaction will happen only from one account, not from two accounts. So we'll not allow multiple, what I say, records to be linked here. Create field. What it is asking, what should we show here? Okay, should it be just bank or even the starting balance? Okay, let's just show bank name for now. So let me just add a couple of this thing, transactions, test one, test two, test transaction date, let's say 6th, 12th, and 30th. Transaction type, let's say credit, and debit. Okay, linked account, I can choose one of this. Okay, say personal, let's say this is also this business, and let me say this is personal. Okay, I'll share this what I say template with you, so don't have to create it. If you want to understand the concept first, that's completely fine. Okay, like I mentioned, every time you create a table creates three records, and that's why if you see here, when we went here and selected this one, it is showing unnamed account. Okay, that's because the third record is here. I'll just delete that. Okay, we'll go to transactions and I'll link this to personal. Now we also need the amount, okay, which will be a currency, and I'll just put this one here. You can also put the precision like you want the whole number or with decimals, how many decimals and so on and so forth. Okay, I'll just put with one, create. Okay, now since we link this record from this table to another table, that is linked bank, if we go here, we can also see the transactions being linked here. Okay, so we have linked two transactions to personal account and one for biz. And if we go here, two transactions are being shown in the personal account and one in the business account. Okay, I'll tell you how to utilize this and uh, get more what to say details from this transaction being linked here. Okay, so let's put some random number here. Let's put some amount. Okay, this is 12,000, this is 24,000, and let's say this is 18,000. What else do we need? See here. So we've got the account, we have got the amount, transaction type, long description, attachment, and so on. Okay, let me just create a couple of other things. Which is a long text. You can also enable rich text formatting and stuff like that if you want. I'll also put something called attachment. So good part about Airtable is you can directly attach files over here itself. It will allow you to do all sort of things like local files, URL, and so on and so forth. So let me just go here and get here, let's say some random file. Okay, so far so good. Any questions?
Not yet.
Okay, cool. Now we have created a table, okay, where we can insert data. The good part about Airtable is with the same set of data. Okay, I told you this is a database, and what we are seeing here is just a view. Okay, if you go here and say I want to view, let's say grid is what we are seeing. Let's say list view. Okay, you can see that each of this is a list. You can customize the row. Okay, you can open it. It will open in a what to say pop-up, right, which will have all the transaction details and stuff like that. You can view the attachment, you can put your comments and so on and so forth. So the front end is ready for you. You can say I want a form view. Okay, add new transactions. Sorry, transaction. Yeah, so the form is ready. It asks you for logo and all, which is coming in the paid plan. You can add the title, transaction date, transaction type, the link bank account. So let's try to add one of this. Okay, test 45, transaction date, let's say 9th, transaction type is credit. I'll add the business account, amount as 13,000, description not required, attachment if any, submit. So why is it coming every time? Oh, it got submitted? No.
Show Airtable branding, I guess. No.
That's fine.
I think it's in the team feature it shows, no?
Ideally, I should be able to. So I was able to submit it from here. Okay, so once you create a form, okay, you can get this open form thing. It will open in a new tab and you can submit. So you can keep this link handy. Okay, I'll show you something even more uh, handy. You can have a dashboard and stuff like that, which will be even better. So you can create a form just by saying you want a form view. Okay, now good thing. Let's say you want to have a credits view and then want to have a debits view. Okay, so what we will do is duplicate view. I'll just rename this as debits. Okay, and I'll add a filter here where I'll say transaction type is debit. Okay, so all the debits will be shown here. I'll just go here. I'll say duplicate view. I'll say credits. Transaction type is credit. Now I know you all might think that okay, this is possible even in Google Sheets because we can add a filter, right? You can add a filter, but the difference between spreadsheet and database is now all the data is stored in the database where it is giving you different views. Okay, if you add a filter, then it needs to be there on the actual data. You can't have different views there. Now if I go here, I can see all the transaction. If I come here, I can have all the debits. If I come here, I can see all the credits. Okay, in Google Sheets this is not possible. You will have to have one filter and you can have just one view, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the main difference. You can have different views. So the data is stored in the database, okay, where it is giving you different views as per your need. If you are working on tasks and all, you can have a calendar view. It will give you different this thing on the calendar view. You can also have a gallery view if you're doing thumbnail designs or something like that. Okay, you can have a Kanban view, okay, for task based things where you can drag and drop and stuff like that. You might have used what is that?
Trello, I guess.
Trello, right? So something like that. All readily available. You just click on it, give a name, done. Okay, cool. So good so far. Any questions?
Not really.
By the way, guys, are you there? Any
Yeah.
questions?
Okay,
Okay, cool.
cool. So now we have created a database, okay, table. We have also created a form where we can fill in new transactions. Let's see how to create the dashboard. They have something called interfaces. Let's go here, start building.
Okay.
Customize and share, choose a use case. Why is it so different from my official account?
I guess next
Yeah, I
one
have to
will.
create next, but it looks very different from. Okay, anyways. So I'll say finance dashboard. Again, I can give any icon. Next, it has what I say different views here as well. You can have a list view, you can have a gallery view, you can have Kanban view, calendar view, and so on and so forth. Okay, let me create dashboard first. You go here. Since we have two of the tables, it will show us. I'll choose transaction for now. You go next. It will give us some default what I say dashboard elements. Okay, like we can have a filter, we can have few numbers, we can have some graphs. I'll remove the filter for now. We can have three numbers and let's just have one of the bar graphs. We'll have to add one more. Okay, and I'll name this as dashboard. Finish. So this is ready here. We have to set it now. What is the first count? Let's say, what did we put it in Google Sheets? Okay, balance. Yeah. So you you can click on this element. It will show you here. Go to appearance. Say personal. You can change the color, okay, whatever you want. Go to data. Here you can say what is the source. Now I'll go to bank accounts, okay, and I'll say specific this thing where name contains personal. Right? We have two records in the bank account. One is personal and one is business. So I'll say name contains personal, and then I'll go to field this thing and I'll say starting balance. Okay. We'll have to come up with one more this thing. For now, I'll make it a starting balance. Summary type is, let's say, it's anyways just one. Okay, so it will show us the balance here. So I'll just delete this. I'll delete this. I'll just make a copy of this, and I'll drag and drop it over here. I'll go here and let's say biz balance. I'll change the color. Go to data, and I'll go to this edit condition, and I'll say this. Okay. Now here we have got credits and debits, which is already come in. Let's just check transaction. Yes, it's already come in here. Okay. Let's first set the balance in the data tab in the bank account. This is the starting balance. But as and when we do transaction, let the balance get updated. How do we
Right.
do that? So we have got transaction linked here, but we have to get what is the amount of each of these transactions. Okay, so we'll go here.
Can it also extract data from images or attachments?
Sorry,
Can it abstract data from images and attachments?
I don't think so. But you can probably use some automation where whenever
Google
you
Lens and
something like that.
something
Yeah,
like Google Lens and use it for putting out.
right. Okay, so we have to go to this thing. I'll create one column for credits, and this should be lookup. No, it should be roll up. Okay, transactions. You have to choose a field. Okay, now what is it from this transaction column, okay, which is linked to the transaction database, you want to fetch something. Okay, and here what we want to fetch is amount. Okay, for each of this transaction we are fetching the amount and we are telling sum them together. Okay, as you can see we have got 30,000 and 41,000 of credits in personal and business account. Let's see if that is true. Okay, so this is okay. I have to be here. So we have got personal and personal. So this is amount of 12,000. Okay, 1 minute. I have to add one more filter there. Okay, yeah. So I'll add the condition here, and where I'll say, come on, why? Where I'll say transaction type is credit. Okay, so I'll get here 12,000, here 41,000. So this is 12, and business we have got 24 plus 17, 41,000. Okay, credits. What I'll do is I'll duplicate this field and make this as debits. The same thing. Okay, no difference. Only here I'll change the condition where it says debit instead of credits. Okay, so we have got 18,000 debited from personal account, no debit from business account. Clear?
Yep.
Now I'll make it as updated balance. and here I'll say this is a formula field. What it does is um, starting balance plus credits minus debits. I cannot say which row and all. Okay, like I mentioned, when you're using formula, it is just column. Which column are you referring to? What you want to do? Okay, so I want to take the starting balance plus credits minus debits. This will be done for all the columns, all the rows, all the records. Okay, and what I'll also tell it as formatting. This is currency, and I'll use the currency symbol. Say, got it? Now I'll go back to interface. I'll go here and I'll say not starting balance but updated balance. Likewise, I'll go here, not the starting balance, updated balance. Okay, so we
Okay.
got the updated balance from both the accounts. Now here also we want to add what I say a filter, which is basically get transactions only with regards to one of the banks. Linked bank is exactly personal. Okay, and aggregate amount. ठीक है, not average, sum. So now it will give us 12,000 is credited and 18,000 is debited from the personal account. Okay, I'll just button this, copy this, make a copy of it. Probably try to fit in here and change this to business, right? And here we have got just credits of 41,000 and no debits yet. Okay. Now let's say I want to add list view. Okay. I want to show all the what I say credits and debits that has happened so far. Getting it?
Can you also limit it, maybe show first 10 transactions?
Yes, yes, you can do that, right? So you can put specific records and you can do this thing. You can also put the condition like where the transaction has happened in just last month.
Right.
Okay, and so on and so forth. So add conditional group. We'll add a group now. Okay, where I'll say add a conditional group. No, 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 no. Wait. We'll create two groups. Yeah, it's here. Okay, so group by linked bank. Okay, so you can have both of the things separated. So you'll have one list for business account and one for personal account. Okay, you can also have transaction wise also. So if you add transaction, then you will have one for business credits and debits will come. Likewise for what do you say personal account, you have credits and debits. Okay, so let's try to publish this and see how it looks. Okay, this is your dashboard. You can see the balance, personal balance, business balance. Then you can see how much credit has happened in the personal account versus the business. Okay, you can also see all the transaction. Of course, you can hide it. Like if you want to see one particular section, that you can check. Of course, if you want to change it, you can change it. And if you want to restrict the changes, then you can also go here and say this is only view only. Okay, where you will not be able to edit anything. Now, let's go to, yeah, here. I'll add one more page, right? And I want to add a form here, which will be for adding new transaction. So I'll just create new transaction is what we want. We want to add title, transaction date, transaction type, link, bank, amount, description, and attachment. All the fields will be automatically shown. New transaction. Just say new transaction. Finish. Now you can configure the form. Okay, where you say title is mandatory. Got it. Okay, required field. And say transaction date is fine. Transaction type is mandatory. A linked bank account is mandatory, and amount is mandatory. Okay, this is fine. I'll publish this. Now here I can go and say test 34 transaction. Transaction type is debit. Account is business. Amount is 8,000. Okay, if I go come to dashboard, you can see that 48,000 debit car, it is updated and balance is also updated. Right? Any questions?
No questions, but I feel like it seems complicated at first, but I think when you're when you're all the back end is ready, you can just very easily access the front end. You can just submit and submit a response easily, and look at the dashboard, and
Exactly.
it's very convenient. But for the back end, I think it needs a little effort when you're creating.
Which backend you are talking about? The tables?
Yeah, the tables. It's
Tables is
it's it's not hard, but
very.
it's like it's more effort than Google Sheets. You see.
See, yes, of course, creating a table in Google Sheets is much easier.
Yeah.
Okay, but think about it this way. Uh, for example, if you're talking about task or if you're talking about finance tracker or something like that, Google Sheets does not have a attachment field.
Right.
Okay, you do not have different views,
That I agree. Yeah.
right? You can have, I mean, what to say, you can have the views based on your requirement. If you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
task, you can have a Kanban view. If you're talking about scheduling blog post or something, you can have calendar view,
Hmm.
right? So the data is the same. You can have different views based on your needs.
Right.
And if you're working with team, each person can have different access. Okay, everything gets recorded. They can you can see who edited what field. And not only that, so let me just go here and just add to transaction. You can also add one more view here. Let me just add, you can add something called record view. Okay, where each of the records can be seen. So let me group this by linked account. Okay, sort by, let's say, transaction type. Okay, next. Transactions. Okay. And I'll also add record comment in here. uh, Not really useful for the transaction purpose, but if you're talking about tasks or something like that, it's very useful. You can see each of the tasks, okay, one by one, along with any attachment, any image if you have. Okay, you can also add comments over here.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you're working with a team, you can easily tell, okay, this is something that I like, this is something that I didn't like, change it, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Okay, so the front end is ready. You just have to drag and drop and get it, what I say, published. So if you see now, we just spent about 1 hour to build the entire system, right? And once it is ready, you can access it from mobile or anything. And let's say, for example, you are doing some transaction on mobile, Just open this link, fill in the details, attach the invoice or the screenshot of your what to say UPI transaction. You're done, right? Not only this, let's go one step further. Any questions so far? No, right? Let's go to automations. Okay. Now they have some inbuilt automation within Airtable. Of course, there is a limit on the number of automations that we can do on a monthly basis, but it's still fair enough for something like this. Okay. You can do something when a record matches condition. You can do something when a form is submitted. You can do something when a new record is created or record is updated. What we are going to do today is a scheduled time. Okay, you can say how often do you want something to happen. So I'll say week, every 1 week. On which day? Let's say Saturday. Okay, at 7 p.m. You can set the time and all, starting when and all. Test. Now what I'll do is I'll go here and say find records. Okay, you can select the table. I'll select transactions. Find records based on condition or view. Okay, I'll say view and I'll select credits. That's action. Okay, we've got all the credits that has happened so far.
Okay.
I'll go here. I'll say duplicate action. I'll go here. I'll say debits, test action. We've got all the debits which has happened so far. Okay. Of course, you can put any other filters and all if you want to. Now I'll go here and say send email. Okay. So I'll send it to my email ID with the subject weekly transaction. Of course, we can do further filters here. Conditional, where we will tell let's say transaction date. Okay, is within the past week. Okay, since we are doing it on a weekly basis, let's hit the transaction on a weekly basis. Okay. Okay, I'll add one more filter here, which is and transaction type is credits. Okay, we have got all the credits. Of course, I can add one more condition saying business or personal and so on and so forth. I'll just delete this and just duplicate this one. Go here and say debits. Now send email. What I'll do is I'll say I want to attach this record in a grid view. I can say title, transaction date, transaction type, linked account, and the amount. Okay, of course I can attach, also add attachments. Okay, I'll also say grid view, this one, grid, title, transaction date, transaction type, linked account, and the amount. Okay, this is for credits, this is for debits. I can format it saying these are the transactions credits. If I want to attach anything, I can do that. Generate a preview. What happened here? Email non-collaborators on the current link plan. Okay. So you can see that I'll get a email something like this. Hey, there is a transaction of the last week. Titles, transaction date, type, linked account. What is the amount? You can also send what is the current balance, how much credits happened, how much debits happened in personal account, business account, and so on and so forth. Got it?
This is pretty cool.
Exactly. So you
I
have a
can.
database.
Mm-hmm.
You have a database. You have the front end. You have inbuilt automation, which will help you track everything that you need.
Right.
So, any questions?
No, not really.
Awesome. So we just built a financial tracker which will take care of everything. Just that we have to enter and everything else is, I mean, can be automated.
I think it's pretty good when it comes to tracking analytics of some account. In my case, let's say I don't want to build a financial tracker, but I can build a client database as such.
Exactly.
Yeah, like automate all the reports that I send them weekly or say monthly, and
Yes.
it will
Yes.
automatically send them.
Right.
That I can do.
There are a lot of you can integrate it with Slack and a few other things as well, not just email.
Yeah, Slack
So
one I
those,
saw.
right. So those things are also available on Airtable. And as you saw, this is all happening in a free plan.
Mm.
Any questions from anyone else?
No, not really.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. If you have any questions, even further, let me know. I'm happy to help. Okay, not just about Airtable, anything related to automation or any no-code tools as such, you can let me know.
Not any questions right now, but I think I might ask later. I have some things related to automation, but yeah, I'll DM soon.
Sure, sure, no problem. Thank you then.
Thank you. Thank you रितेश सर as प्रांतिक is not here. He have to कुछ काम की वजह से he have to leave. So thank you so much for giving your time, and if anyone has any problem, you can ask with Ritesh sir or connect with him via WhatsApp. So thank you everyone for joining, and thank you Ritesh sir for taking out some time, and
Anytime. Happy to do.
thank you Ritesh. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Thank you
Bye.
Ritesh.